Hello, YouTube land. This is Brenton coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky. Now, I know I haven't been on the air for about a week and a half or something like that. I've been regaining my strength since I had that heart attack. I've had up and down days. Some days I feel great, some days I don't. But I'm, getting a little bit better each day. And I was looking through the emails. I was trying to find something that we could go talk to somebody and get something kind of interesting to listen to. And I ran across this fellow from Alaska, and I think this I think will be quite interesting. So, if anyone out there has a story they'd like to share, you can contact me at brentonsawin@gmail.com if you want to contribute to help with the show, because it's very important to help these days, since YouTube is kind of crashed and burned here lately. A lot of the YouTubers go by keeping them afloat through contributions. So you can go to a link in the description, PayPal me. And from here, let's just go speak with Terrance from Alaska. Terrance, if you would, buddy, I'd like for you to introduce yourself and tell a little something about you, whatever you would like to share, and where you're from and things like that. And then we'll get into some of the stuff that you've been wanting to speak about.
Okay, well, like I said, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and I guess I'll start from the last thing I seen was I was going to Newport, Washington from elk, and I went to the store, and I was on my way back. It was in the afternoon, somewhere around maybe 5 or 6. And I seen these two huge dogs, and I thought they were dogs at first when I seen them, and I wasn't really concentrating on them. And then the closer I got, the bigger they got. I mean, they weren't growing, but they were, when you're further away, they look smaller. And as I got closer, they were extremely big, and I'd never seen dogs that big before. And I've had a lot of dogs. I've had German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Huskies, St. Bernards, and everything. And these guys were huge. They were both exactly the same color, same size. And they were kind of scraggly. Their hair wasn't kept or anything. They look like they've been rolling around in the bushes or something. And I went by them going about 50, and I slowed down to about maybe 40, and I was looking in my rearview mirror, and one of them stopped and stood up, and I about run off the road. And the first thing that came to my mind was Dogman, and then I was thinking, no, it can't be a Dogman, not here. And I stopped, and it went back down on all fours, and they looked at each other, and then they took off down into the brush there. And so I didn't want to tell anybody because, first of all, I didn't think anybody believed me. And I tried telling my dad, but he said he didn't believe in any of that stuff. And so he said, you best not tell anybody. They'll think you're nuts. So
Yeah, well, hold on, though. You live in... Can you kind of tell us, like, where in Alaska you live?
I lived in Alaska. I'm now living in Washington.
Where did you see these things, in Washington or Alaska?
Washington.
Okay, all right. I'm just kind of making sure.
Yeah.
But and your family is what tribal identity do you all have?
Tlingit.
Pardon?
We're Tlinkits from Alaska.
Tlingits. Okay, so you all are pretty in tune with nature. Most of the time I speak with Native Americans or people from Alaska. They're very, very in tune with the wilderness and nature. It's not like something that they would see stuff and be duped by it or anything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit different than normal city folk like me or something. So I just want to let people know that you have a background that was in tune with nature. When you live in Alaska, you're in tune with nature. You can't survive. Isn't that right?
Well, that's true. The town I'm from is really small. There was 300 and something people there, and
right.
I grew up fishing, commercial fishing, and hunting and trapping, and spent most of my life outdoors and living in wall tents, commercial fishing, living on sand beaches and stuff, and seeing all kinds of animals, bears and whatnot, and all my relatives do the same thing. We were up there commercial fishing and living off the land and hunting and trapping. And when we moved down here, it's not the same lifestyle, but we're still out in the country. And I like I said, I was truly amazed when I seen these two dogs, or whatever they were. They were extremely large. I've never seen dogs this big before in my life. And I was in awe because I was thinking, man, somebody's got some beautiful dogs, but they need to be bathed or something. And then when that one stood up, I about run off the road. So, and I was talking to my cousin about that not too long ago, and she was telling me that she was out at the graveyard in Alaska, in the town we're from, and her boyfriend seen a dog man standing up out there, leaning up against a tree. They were cleaning the grave off, my grandmother's grave off, and brushing the weeds away and stuff. And they both looked up at the same time, and they seen this huge wolf standing on two legs, leaning up against the tree, and it had one hand on its hip. And she said it was amazing and kind of funny at the same time, because she thought it was some, her mind was playing tricks on her. And they both discussed it and looked at it, and then they got the feeling of dread and fear, and so they walked back to their car and got in and left. But that one there, that one, she said, was probably about maybe 8 feet tall, and she said it had the pointed ears, and it looked just like a wolf's face, and it had a large bushy head, and the shoulders were kind of narrow compared to its head, and it didn't have much hair on its chest, and it was definitely a male. And she said that she hadn't been out to the graveyard since she's seen that. And I don't blame her. It's not every day you see something like that. And we've seen a lot of weird things when we were up in Alaska. And there's something such as, it's called a Koshdaca. And my family, my mother, on my mother's side of the family, she said when she was little that everybody went to town, and after the week of fishing, and her family, my grandmother and her sisters and a couple cousins were stayed out there at the camp, and they seen a friend of theirs walking down the beach, and they were surprised to see her, and they told their one of my mother's sisters ran up and told my grandmother that one of their friends was down here, and she came out on the porch and she was watching them, and she called the kids up and she said, "No, don't go down there. Stay away from her. That's not her. That's a Koshdaca." And so I was asking my mother, well, how did she know it was a Koshdaca? And she said she could see the tracks, because on a Koshdaca, the body is the same as the person it's supposed to be portraying, but the feet stay otter. So it leaves otter tracks. And so all the kids came up to the house, and later they all went down, and sure enough, it had the otter tracks, and it hung out down there for a while, and it was trying to get the kids to come play, but my grandmother wouldn't let them go down.
Wow, that's incredible. So basically, this thing has like otter type feet that it's leaving tracks with, but it's actually appearing to be someone else.
Yeah, they're called Koshdaca, and there's quite a few people up in Alaska have seen these things, and they're kind of a shapeshifter thing, and pretty scary. I believe they're satanic of some sort. I'm not sure how that works into it, but I know they're not good. And my mother's 95 years old, and when she grew up, she was 1922, and in that same town that we're from up there in Alaska, and it's a small town, and all the guys would get together and go hunting, and all the women would stay at home with the kids and the elderly people. And while the men were out hunting, there was a noise out by my grandmother's living room window, and they had a 2-story house. And my grandmother got up to see what the noise was, and she kept hearing things banging around, first on the porch, and then outside where the meat was in the shed. And so she got up and she went into the other room. She was looking out the window, and she could see someone down there. And then someone came walking up, and their head was even with the bottom of the window. And she looked, and it stood up on something, and looked in, and she said it was a Bigfoot. And they didn't know anything about those things back then, and that was the first one they had seen. They've seen the tracks, but they'd never seen one in close. And she said that it scared the hell out of her, and she about fell over and ran and got all the kids put in one room, and made sure all the doors were locked. And the next day, when all the men came back from their hunting trip, the women in the town were talking about somebody peeking in on them and breaking into the meat sheds and stuff. And so all the guys got together and tracked that Bigfoot down, and it took them a day and a half, and they found it and killed it. And they never had another problem.
Wow, what'd they
from
do
then
with,
on.
what'd they do with it?
They left it where it was.
Just left it. Wow.
So yeah, they call it cockling.
They let the nature reclaim it then, huh?
Yes, and the name that they called it was cockling, which is hairy man.
Cockling.
Cockling.
Wow, that's
And ka in our language is man, and
right.
Plain is the hairy man. So
how did they kill it?
She was. She didn't tell me that, and I never asked. I was just I was in awe that they all went together and did it.
Right. And since it was like snowy and stuff like that, it wasn't that hard for them to track it, was it?
I don't know if it was winter or summer. I didn't ask. I guess I should have.
Right.
But it took them a day and a half to catch up to it.
Right.
And so, but none of the guys that went got hurt or anything. So.
Right. Well, that's very interesting. That proves right there to you that they can be tracked and they can be killed. You know.
Well, when they start endangering the people and their livelihood, you know, it's not good.
Right. And up there, man, you all are used to killing big game in Alaska. I mean, you know, you got to deal with grizzly bears and polar bears or whatever, you know. Sometimes you have to kill big game if it's a threat.
Well, in southeast Alaska, we have brown bear, and they're large. They're really big.
Right.
And we don't kill the bears unless we have to. You know,
right.
we don't just go out and shoot them and put a rug on the wall like most hunters do. We usually just, if we need to kill them because we're going to be hurt or our family is, then we kill them. But other than that, usually not. But there's deer hunting and moose and elk and other game up there, and antelope, or not antelope, but caribou.
Yeah, so obviously they felt like this Bigfoot was a threat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
You couldn't have something like that running around with all the children in town, and especially with the elderly people and stuff, you know.
Why? Right.
So,
Wow.
and there's
Impressive.
no back in them days, there was no law. You know, you couldn't go tell the cop to go chase down this prowler, you know, and so it was up to them to
Right.
do it.
Right. And so they ended up tracking it down and they killed it. That's
Yeah.
very impressive, for sure. Yeah, that's interesting, man, for real. Because a lot of people wouldn't know how far north they go and how far south they go. We know that they go all the way down into Florida and stuff like that. But
Right.
into Alaska, we know they go into Canada. I wasn't really sure too much about Alaska. I mean, I've heard stories, but
Well, I've heard a lot of
obviously,
people talking about that.
yeah, obviously they're
Up
in
in
Alaska.
up in the Kenai area and stuff. There's a couple of places that the locals just won't go because of that.
Yeah,
And
there was a few places up there where they find trees that are uprooted and are stuck in the ground upside down. Have you ever heard
yeah,
of
we
such a
still have
thing?
those up in. Yeah, we see them all the time when we were up there hunting.
Oh, really?
Uh,
They're
yeah,
huge. They're huge
we were
trees.
always.
I mean, they're
Yeah, some of
humongous.
these were unbelievably huge, and some of the stumps that we'd see or something, there'd be a huge boulder on it, you know, or something,
Right.
and nothing that a guy could lift. Or there's no
Right.
way a guy could put a tree with the root system sticking straight up in the air like that.
Right.
And we run into a lot of those up there.
So people. There's a lot of folks up there that know about this.
Yeah, but most people won't say anything because they don't want people to think they're crazy.
Right. Right. But when you see something like that, I mean, you know that something did it. I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
because some of those trees are just gigantic trees, and the root system are just humongous. And when a human's standing beside it, getting their picture took, it's like, oh my gosh, what kind of monster would it take to uproot a tree like that and then stick it in the
You,
ground upside down?
you imagine how strong they have to be to do something like that? That's just
I
totally
know.
amazing.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. So for people to hunt them down and kill them, that's amazing, for real. Oh, what else you got, man?
Well, I think here that's about it, I guess, Brendan. Those are the 3 or 4 things I had, but I'll keep my ears out for you.
Yeah, yeah, do that, man. I appreciate it. So basically,
And I sure hope you.
what do you think the Dogman thing was? It was just basically a group of dogmen you ran into, or what?
Oh, the 2 that I seen when I was coming home. Geez, you know, I never thought they'd be around this area, you know, because I'd never heard any stories about
Right.
anybody talking about them or anything. But being this close to where I live, even is kind of scary.
Yeah.
I keep my eye open on bulletin boards and stuff when I go to the stores. And that one day I counted 24 dogs, pets that were missing.
Really?
And so it's not the dog catcher that's doing it, you know, it's definitely something's out there taking these animals, and it's not just 1 or 2 a week, you know, it's the bulletin board's always full of different dogs every day.
Right.
And
How big do you think
and
these things were when you saw it stand up? Just
oh,
kind of a
man,
guess, you know.
they were, I'd say they're in the 6.5 foot, maybe. They weren't full grown dogmen. If they were probably just a little past teenager stage or something, I would think.
Yeah.
They when the one stood up, it would just totally freaked me out. I I about run off the road. My heart started pounding. I was like, oh man, I wonder if that's really a dog man. Because I've seen dogs stand up before, like I said, I've had several types of dogs and stuff, but nothing like this.
Did it look like it had like shoulders and things like that?
Yeah, it sure did.
Really?
Yeah, it had it looked like a well, it looked like a skinny guy is what it looked like. They didn't look like they were muscular. They looked like they were kind of hungry. They missed a few meals.
Really?
And that's what threw me, because the ones I was hearing about on your show, most everybody's telling their bodybuilder styles, but these guys here, they were pretty skinny.
All right.
And they weren't that tall. They were about 6 foot or so, 6.5 foot, and the only one that stood up.
But way bigger than a dog, though.
Oh yeah, there's no way it could have been a dog. Like I said, I've seen dogs, and I have dogs, and my dog wouldn't look like that if he stood up.
Yeah.
I have a German Shepherd right now, and if he stood up, he'd probably be about 5.5 feet tall.
Right.
But he wouldn't have shoulders, and he wouldn't have hands.
Yeah.
And so that's what really freaked me out, is when he stood up, and I just couldn't believe it.
So you did notice the hands?
Well, yeah. I pulled over, and my heart was pounding, and I was thinking, well, I got to call Brenton on this one.
Yeah, so, cool. For real.
Yeah.
Yeah, when something has hands, it's a whole different ball game then, ain't it?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should tell anybody or not, and then I started thinking, oh, geez, I'll tell Brenton, and I don't care who believes me or not. I've been called crazy by better people, so.
I hear that, man. I've been called all kinds of things, buddy. Well, Terrance, I appreciate it, man. It's been fascinating. And
I do have one more thing for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, well, like I told you, I had open heart surgery, and Jesus came to see me.
Oh, really?
And he talked to me. Yes,
Sweet.
and it was quite amazing.
Dude.
And the feeling I got was like a giant hug. It was the warmest, most loving feeling I'd ever had in my life.
Wow.
And this is the third time. The first time was when I was a little child, and he came to see me in my bedroom and talked to me for a while, and he lit up the whole room. And then the second time was at the hospital, and then the third time was here at the house where I'm at now. And he talked to me, and he was discussing on, he was joking around with me, and that's what really blew my mind, because no one ever thinks of Jesus as having a sense of humor, and I thought that was wonderful.
Yeah.
And the feeling it gave me, it brought tears to my eyes, and I was so overjoyed and overwhelmed with the feeling of love that he portrayed. I just can't hardly explain it.
Dude, it's awesome, man.
But, yeah, I wanted to share that with you too, because you're always talking about being a Christian and stuff, so I thought maybe you'd appreciate something like that.
Man, the Lord likes to let us know that he cares for us, and he loves us.
He definitely cares.
Yes, he loves us very much. Beyond what we can comprehend, because we try to love people the best we know how to do in accordance to the relationships that we've had, we've learned what we have about love on this world, but when the Lord loves us, it's a whole different kind. It's a perfection love, and
oh yeah,
yeah. So him to let you know that he's trying to let you know that don't fear, even though that you've had operation and stuff. Heart issue, and you need surgery and what have you. Don't fear, man. The Lord's with you, brother, and he knows what you're going through. He knows everything you need, And if he knows you, then you have nothing to worry about, because he will provide all your needs and your desires. If your desire is him, then he'll even give you the desires of your heart. And
Right.
that's wonderful. And so you have nothing to fear, brother.
Well, I tell you what, that was one of the neatest things that's ever happened to me in my life. I can't think of anything else besides the birth of my children.
Yeah, and when I seen the Lord, whenever I had the experience that I had, I tried to explain the best I could on how beautiful he was. And it wasn't like a physical beauty. It was the beauty in who he was. You know what I mean? It was indescribable. That he didn't like want me to see him so that I could marvel over him. He wanted me to see him so that I could know that I was loved by the Father. You know, and and it's just extraordinary. Yeah, he's so beautiful in the most humble type of way. And people will know that when they meet him. And they will. People, that believe in the Lord will meet the Lord. And they'll know, man.
Oh, definitely.
You will know him when you see him, the Bible says. Believe me, you will.
The feeling is nothing like I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Yes, it's the most beautiful, humble type thing. Jesus does never look. He isn't looking for credit for nothing. And when you seen him, he wasn't looking to, like, here, hey, I'm Jesus, so that you would recognize him. And he was letting you know that, hey, I'm real, and everything that we talked about when it comes to your redemption and the love of God is true. And and it's kind of in a way that doesn't glorify him so much. It's a way that glorifies the love of God. And that's just really hard to explain. And I think you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Brother, you are blessed, man.
And you too, my friend.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
We're going to have to stay in touch.
Yes, sir. You can contact me anytime, man. And I can send you my cell phone number if you want, and you can call me anytime.
Oh, sure. That'd be fine.
Yeah. So
that'd be great.
You keep up the faith, man. That's the most important thing in the whole world. Nothing else really matters.
I do blessings on people's homes and stuff for them.
Yeah.
And I clear their house of bad spirits and such. And
wonderful.
And I've been doing that for a while, and it's totally you can tell the difference in people's homes before and after.
Right.
And with the people as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I bet the Lord's very proud of you, brother. You believe that?
Well, I'm just trying to hold my own and do what he asks. So.
Yeah. It's all we can do is do our part, and whatever little part that is, that we're supposed to do.
Right.
Everybody's got their part, and everybody's part is just as important as the next guy's part, isn't it?
Yeah. If everybody did their part, then the world would be a better place.
Right. Awesome. Man, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you shared that. See, that's the best part of all that you shared. For real.
Yeah, you're the one I wanted to talk to because I knew you was Christian, and I feel good about talking to another Christian about things like that. And
well,
I listen to your channel faithfully.
Right. Cool deal. Appreciate that, man. God bless you, brother. And
God bless you.
I'll email you back, and I'll email you my cell number. And
okay,
anytime you want to call, like if you got anything else pops up, you can welcome to do that. Sound good?
Okay.
All right.
You betcha. Sounds great. Okay, you take care, man.
All right. God bless you, bro.
Okay. God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.